a boyhood dream, and for the past 31 years, 10 has given me the chance to make those dreams a reality, and for that, I am truly grateful. I'll be back after 6.
And you've certainly kept this girl on her toes for the last 8 months.
You're a star.
And I've enjoyed every minute of it.
You're a star.
Your weekend forecast with Michael Schultz in a moment.
Comedian Steph Tisdall is bringing her laughs online.
Very good evening. We've got a few sunny days coming up and it's going to be warming up in the early part of next week, and there's no rain really on the horizon at all. The maximum in the city today, as expected, fell just short of 20 degrees. It was recorded at 22 minutes to 2 this afternoon. The overnight minimum was 8.1 at 6:30. It's 15.8 at the moment. The winds are south-southwesterly, 11 kilometres an hour. The barometer 1,022.7. It's rising. Relative humidity 58%. The daytime temperatures, Rottnest got to 18, Bickley and Dwellingup only reached 17, that was the lowest close to Perth, and 21 was the highest, that was at Northam after that cold start of 2. It was also cold at Dwellingup this morning with a minimum of 4. York, however, recorded the lowest in the state, that was -1 this morning. 15 was the lowest maximum at Katanning, Rocky Gully and Shannon, and the highest maximum came from the Pilbara, 40 degrees at Roban. Shannon had the most rain in the 24 hours up until 9 o'clock this morning. It was only 6 millimetres. Northcliffe had the other good fall of 5 millimetres. Most other falls in the southwest in that northwesterly stream yesterday only produced less than 1 millimetre. Now, the satellite images still show a lot of cloud over southeastern parts of the state, and that is becoming a bit unstable and may trigger some activity through the southern goldfields, the southwest land division's eastern areas and the Euclid division, but the frontal features out to the south and west are weak at the moment. On the chart, they're being held south by this ridge of high pressure. That's going to generate reasonably light wind conditions around the metropolitan area tomorrow, and the trough near the Kimberley coast could generate a little bit of fog over western and northern parts of the Kimberley tomorrow morning. There is a strong wind warning for coastal areas from Jurien Bay up to Barrow Island. As far as rainfall is concerned, there could be some coastal showers in the onshore flow around the southwest Capes and around the southern coastline to Albany. Otherwise, there is that chance of showers and thunderstorms over the east of the southwest land division, the southern goldfields and the Euclid. That will be contracting eastwards later tomorrow and should probably clear into South Australia during Sunday. The major centres tomorrow likely to produce a fog in the morning for Broome, windy conditions for Carnarvon, a partly cloudy day on the way for Kalgoorlie, Bunbury and Esperance. Everyone else should be mostly sunny. Adelaide, Melbourne and Hobart are expecting some rain tomorrow. There's the possibility of a shower up in Cairns, partly cloudy in Brisbane and in Canberra. Sydney should be sunny, as should the Northern Territory locations. On the waters, south to southeasterly winds of 10 to 15 knots will be turning east to southeasterly in the morning. They'll end up southerly in the afternoon and freshen to 15 to 20 knots. So the seas between 1 and 1.5 metres and the west to southwesterly swell between 2 and 3. High tide is just short of a metre at 4:30 in the morning. Low tide is a little over 0.5 of a metre at 3:15 tomorrow afternoon. Sunrise at 6:19 and sunset at 6:07. The city should be sunny tomorrow. The winds will be light. They'll become southerly in the afternoon and become moderate, and then they'll become light again tomorrow evening. The minimum's expected to get down to 8 and tomorrow's maximum reaching 19. Then we take a significant jump on Sunday. We drop down to 8 in the morning. The day will be sunny and it should get to 25. Even warmer on Monday with a top at 27 after a low of 13. More sunshine on Tuesday, 15 to 26 degrees. Wednesday, a little bit of cloud around and back to 21. Then Thursday we should reach 23, a sunny day again, and then the cloud returns on Friday with a maximum around 25 after a low of 10.
A 1-month-old baby is fighting for her life in hospital after suffering critical injuries, allegedly at the hands of her own father. The little girl was taken to Armidale-Kelmscott Memorial Hospital last Friday after family members found her badly hurt. Police believe her 25-year-old father, Juan Daniel Versace, is responsible. He's been charged with grievous bodily harm and will front court again next month. The Rio Tinto CEO and 2 other top executives have resigned over a blast scandal that destroyed ancient Aboriginal heritage sites in the Pilbara. The miner's share price also took a hit as investors sent a clear message to the company's board.
After months of intense public pressure, heads have finally rolled at the top of Rio Tinto.
As we've said from the very beginning, it was very unfortunate this took place, and obviously these caves and this history cannot be replaced.
The mining giant has been under fire since destroying ancient Aboriginal heritage sites in Juukan Gorge in May. The Pilbara rock shelters held evidence of human occupation dating back at least 46,000 years. The blast was legally sanctioned, but went against the wishes of the land's traditional owners.
But I suspect the shareholders will be demanding to see lessons that have been learned.
Today, the company announced a major reshuffle. Rio Tinto's chief executive, John Sebastian Jacques, head of iron ore, Chris Salisbury, and head of corporate relations, Simone Niven, will step down. In a statement, Rio Tinto said, "What happened at Juukan was wrong and we will ensure it never happens again at a Rio Tinto operation, and we are determined to regain the trust of the traditional landowners." The PKKP people says its focus continues to be on preserving Aboriginal heritage and stopping tragedies like this ever occurring again.
It's a broader message of corporate governance that no doubt corporate Australia is learning from and watching, not with glee, I would say, but watching and learning about what their own boards perhaps reflect.
WA's Aboriginal Affairs Minister says he hopes future boards can hold Indigenous representation. A federal parliamentary inquiry into the need for stronger legal protections for similar sites is due to report back in December. Bo Pearson for 10 News First.
The family of Andrew Mallard insist he would not have wanted his killer to face jail time. It comes after an American basketballer was sentenced to just 30 days behind bars for the 56-year-old's hit-and-run death in Hollywood.
Killed in a hit-and-run on Hollywood's Sunset Boulevard, a tragic end to the life of Andrew Mallard. Behind the wheel, Christopher Ryan Smith, who was today sentenced to just 30 days behind bars over the deadly crash.
Nothing, of course, will bring Andrew Mallard back. And it's very disappointing to find that the person responsible has been let off so lightly.
20-year-old Smith admitted hitting Mr Mallard and driving away in April last year. But a plea deal meant he avoided a longer jail term.
That's a matter for the American justice system. I think, if you have a look at the imagery, the whole thing was very sad and very, very unfortunate.
Smith will also be required to complete 300 hours of community service and pay a yet-to-be-determined sum to Mr Mallard's family. Despite the seemingly lenient sentence, Andrew Mallard's family insist he would not have wanted his killer jailed. They say he knew only too well the emotional and mental trauma imprisonment brings. Mr Mallard had rebuilt his life after he was wrongfully convicted of the murder of Mosman Park jeweller Pamela Lawrence in 1995. After 12 years in jail, that conviction was quashed and he won his freedom. His family say he was living the life he dreamed of when he died. Alexandra Ristway for 10 News First.
The fate of a Perth woman smuggled into WA inside a truck is in the hands of a Supreme Court judge. Ashavanda Sandon is fighting her 6-month jail sentence, one of the harshest of its kind. Chiara Zafino has more.
Monika, the 28-year-old, will have to wait until next week to find out if her appeal against her punishment is successful. Ashavanda Sandon illegally entered WA from Victoria at the height of the pandemic, catching a lift with a truckie. A magistrate sentenced her to 6 months jail for her breach, the harshest penalty handed down for breaking the rules. Her lawyers are fighting that term, describing her offending as mid-level and arguing that a suspended sentence should have been considered. The court heard the details of more serious cases of others who had broken their quarantine and escaped with fines.
The matter's in the hands of the Supreme Court and we'll get the decision next Tuesday. That's all I'm going to say.
Under the State Management Act, the maximum penalty for a breach is $50,000 or 12 months in jail. Monika, Justice Hill will hand down her decision on Tuesday.
A drug addict who broke into an elderly woman's home and tried to sexually assault her has been sentenced to jail. The court heard the now 82-year-old victim is still suffering from the terrifying ordeal.
A degrading assault on a frail and entirely vulnerable victim. That's how Shannon James Fisher's crimes were described as he was sentenced in Perth's District Court. The 30-year-old was drunk and high on meth when he broke into a Mandurah retirement village last year looking for cigarettes. When an 81-year-old woman found him inside her apartment, Fisher attacked. knocking her to the ground before trying to sexually assault the retiree. The court heard Fisher's victim now suffers from fear, anxiety and flashbacks. In a written submission, she told her attacker, "I can still see your eyes." In sentencing, Judge David McLean told Fisher, "You shattered her sense of security and sanctity in her home. Your later offence attempted to shatter the sanctity of her body." He acknowledged Shannon Fisher had a traumatic childhood, sentencing him to 4 years and 9 months behind bars. With parole and time already served, he could be back in the community in January 2022. Nathan Brooks for 10 News First.
Authorities are closing in on a group of people they suspect of dumping hundreds of thousands of tyres across Perth. It's left a massive mess and hit property owners with a hefty clean-up bill.
A wasteland of illegally dumped tyres, the biggest operation of its kind authorities have ever seen.
So far, this is the most bold operation I've seen in this state.
Hundreds of thousands of tyres have been dumped on rental properties around the state, leaving a hefty clean-up bill for the property owners.
The owners of this property are looking at a bill in the order of $100,000 to have the tyres removed by a legitimate operator.
This operation has been running for almost 2 years. Authorities say the scammer transports tyres from junkyards at half the price. They're then discarded at private rental properties and storage yards around Perth. At around $2 a tyre, they've potentially made hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is just one of 10 dumping grounds around Perth being investigated, and they need to be moved before summer hits. These mountains of rubber are a massive financial burden to move, but if they're left here, they pose a huge fire risk. Authorities are closing in on those they believe are responsible. The maximum penalty per offence is a $62,000 fine.
Find another occupation, because this one has penalties associated with it.
Brendan Crew for 10 News First.
A criminal's shocking day at work has landed him in prison. Simon, too, crashed his van full of drugs into 2 parked police cars and will now spend at least 4 years behind bars.
Running into police was what Simon too needed to avoid while couriering $130 million worth of ice. Instead, it was the force's easiest drug bust because he failed to steer clear.
This 26-year-old Barella man has certainly had a very, very bad day. Crashing into police vehicles with that amount of drugs on board is somewhat unheard of.
He's since been labelled Australia's dumbest criminal and has pleaded guilty to supplying more than a large commercial quantity of methamphetamine, being 273 kilograms. He told the court he'd racked up a $15,000 gambling debt and wanted to make quick cash. He expected to be able to pay off his debts and the overheads outstanding on his business, but was acting in self-interest and had no regard for anyone else, in particular the welfare of the community, the judge said. Toussaint slumped over, shaking his head as the judge read out his offences and his poor execution of them. He only sat up to learn how much longer he'll spend behind bars. He was sentenced to 6 years and 6 months in prison, but could be out on parole in 3 years. A so-called micro-sleep that he describes as a wake-up call. Kimberly Pratt for 10 News First.
Goss is back with more sport and more on the Eagles' top 4 quest.
Can't get rid of me, I'm like a bad smell. Thank you very much. They will be hoping the Cats beat the Tigers tonight after pulling off a sensational win over the Saints. Welcome to Sport, everyone. The Eagles are back in the top 4 and we'll be hoping Geelong can beat Richmond tonight, paving the way for a double chance in the finals. Described as one of the club's best wins ever, the Eagles could be without star defender Jeremy McGovern for the rest of the season. Lockie Reid reports.
Final secure, but the enormous feat was bittersweet. Jeremy McGovern expected to be a long-term loss, and the coach knew it straight away.
I don't know, it didn't look like a twinge.
McGovern adds polish to West Coast back six. On the surface, it's hard to see the club winning the flag without the league's best defender.
Our back line doesn't quite function the same without him, I believe. So, yeah, look, it's going to be challenging.
But after last night's result, anything could happen. The 15-point win over the Saints, a memorable one.
One of our best wins for the club in my time.
I've played for 10 years, and that was honestly one of the best wins I reckon I've been involved in.
I think it was our youngest side for I don't know how many years.
Kelly himself, the standout player, amongst what Adam Simpson described pre-game as a makeshift midfield.
I always want to lead from the front. I haven't exactly been able to do that to the best of my ability. I feel like I've sort of been running around the last couple of weeks.
Worth every cent, isn't he, tonight? So we hopefully we've got him for the next 7 or 8 years.
Gaff and Nat Nui help shoulder the load, and it's handy having a forward 50 of Darling and Flying Ryan.
Excitement machine, isn't he?
We're not getting a lot of supply up front, but when we do, we look bloody dangerous. And Liam Ryan's in All-Australian form.
The Eagles to keep an eye on tonight's result, hoping the Cats contain the Tigers.
I don't think I'll be putting any Geelong memorabilia on, but yeah, I'll definitely be hoping they win.
Yo and Shuey won't play against North Melbourne in the last round of the regular season. The bye pre-finals to be perfect timing. Lockie Reid for 10 News First.
St Kilda is contemplating a selection about face on star midfielder Dan Hanbury. The 29-year-old trained strongly in the AFL's quarantine hub today and is in line for a round 18 recall for the do-or-die battle with GWS for a final spot. He finished off the session with a bit of extra legwork with Jared Roughhead's daughter, Pippa.
Watching him today and seeing how he's attacked, after, 6 or 7 weeks ago, that hammy surgery, I think, he didn't look out of shape out here with those two boys who have been going at a fair clip for a while now.
The trio of misfits, Hanbury, Ablett and Edwards, finished the session with a team photo, a snap for the ages. Serena Williams is out of the US Open, losing the so-called Battle of the Mums to Victoria Azarenka. Japan's Naomi Osaka is into the final, beating Jennifer Brady. Serena injured an ankle, with the match tied at 1 set apiece, and then lost to Azarenka for the first time in a Grand Slam. The Belarusian hasn't been in a major final since 2013.
I was young, my ego was way too big so now it's a little smaller, and the results are coming.
Australia resumes its rival with England tonight, with Nathan Lyon expected to be overlooked for the one-day series opener. The off-spinner hasn't played an ODI for more than a year, but says a big goal of his is to play in the 2023 World Cup.
Obviously got a taste of a World Cup here last year. Unfortunately, we didn't walk away where we wanted to get to. But yeah, that's a big goal of mine to be part of that World Cup squad, and hopefully a winning World Cup squad in India.
Australia's likely to continue playing spin. Adam Zampa and Ashton Agar. More relaxing day for Caleb Ewan and the peloton in stage 12 of the tour, giving them a chance to check out some of France's famous elaborate field art. Up front, a breakaway from the breakaway helped Mark Hirschi to a breakthrough win.
Second on the opening weekend in Nice, third on the second weekend. It is Heroic Hirschi who is victorious.
No major changes in the overall standings tonight. The peloton is back in the mountains. It's been fun, it's been the best job ever, and I wouldn't change a thing. That is all in sport.
And only you could put the Brady Bunch into a serious sports segment. Plenty of sunshine and warm spring days ahead for Perth. Michael has the details next.
Going out in style, eh?
Very good evening. We've got plenty of sunshine over the weekend and through the first part of next week, and it's going to be significantly warmer on Monday and Tuesday. The maximum in the city today got to 19.8 degrees. The overnight minimum was 8.1, and the satellite image is showing a bit of cloud streaming over the southwest corner of the state. That activity in the southeastern quarter is actually developing into showers and thunderstorms, and since 9 o'clock this morning there's been 3 millimetres reported from Southern Cross. The only other area picking up some showers is the southwest Capes. There was 0.6 of a millimetre at Margaret River after 9 this morning. Tomorrow there's going to be coastal showers around the southwest Capes and across to Albany. Then there's going to be showers and thunderstorms in eastern parts of the southwest Land Division, the southern Goldfields and the Eucla. On the chart, you can see we've got a ridge to the south and a good southerly running up the west coast. There is a strong wind warning for all coastal waters from Jurien Bay up to Northwest Cape and then along the Pilbara coast to Barrow Island. On our waters, the winds are going to be pretty light in the morning, south to southeasterlies at 10 to 15 knots. They'll go east to southeasterly around sunrise, and then in the afternoon they'll be southerlies at 15 to 20 knots. Seas around half a metre in the morning, but 1 to 1.5 metres in the afternoon. The west to southwesterly swell between 2 and 3. It's 15.2 now. The winds are south-southwesterly at 11 kilometres an hour. The barometer is through 1,023 hectopascals and still rising. Relative humidity 61%. It's going to be a cool start in the outer lying areas once again. Maybe not as cool as this morning. Northam had a low of 2 this morning, but expecting 5 tomorrow morning. Dwelling Up's expecting a minimum of 4. Maxima ranging from 18 on Rottnest and at Dwelling Up to the south. 21's the higher end at Bullsbrook and at Northam. For Perth, it should be sunny. The winds will be light. They'll become moderate southerlies in the middle of the day and then light again tomorrow evening. A minimum of 8 and a maximum tomorrow of 19. Sunday should be sunny, 8 to 25 degrees. Monday, 13 to 27, mostly sunny. Tuesday, 26 and sunny. Wednesday, partly cloudy and it drops to 21 as a maximum. On Thursday, it should be back up to 23. And next Friday, we're looking at a partly cloudy day and a top at 25. And that's my final weather on 10 News First. It's been a pleasure over the years.
And Michael, it has been such a pleasure and an honour to work alongside you.
And you, Mon.
Tonight is a special bulletin for 10 News First Perth. It is the last for myself, Goss and Schultz, so we've prepared a little trip down memory lane.
Hello and welcome to Sport.
Oh my goodness.
Leave you. On behalf of Schultz and Tim and all of our colleagues behind the scenes who are also leaving, thank you for welcoming us into your home each weeknight. It has been such a privilege. Good night.
Have a nice life. See you.